Butter Vision. What's good, homie? Allow me to introduce Unsportsmanlike Conduct, the show with a bunch of handsome men's arguing about sports. On today's episode, Keith Merrill, David Goodman, Rick Banales, and Olu Alemoru. And now, here's your host. He once insisted on doing an outfit change while trying on a pair of shoes at Foot Locker, J.D. Butter!
That's right, y'all. That's right, we're back. We are back. Your man J.D. Butter, Unsportsmanlike Conduct, peep game. I got my co-pilot here, a new version of my co-pilot, Prince. Thanks again to Mr. John Caratelli. Now, before we get started, and before I bring in these esteemed panelists, I just want to say one thing, and I'm going to let my t-shirt kind of speak to it, because the world is crazy right now, and here's how we need to do something about it. People, you need to rock the vote this November, y'all. You need to rock the vote. We need a change. Let's say that. I'm not even going to say who we need to get out. I'm just going to say we need a change. So everyone watching this show, it is your responsibility. Don't pull the like I'm too busy. Don't pull the I'm not voting because I don't like either of these two guys. We need to make a change. Rock the vote in 2020, y'all. So now let's get it started. Let's bring in our first panelist. He weighs in at a strapping 6 feet and 188 pounds. He grew up an Air Force brat, so he has lived all over this great world. But his hometown is Beantown, Boston, and he currently lives out in Santa Clarita, right near one of my favorite places, Magic Mountain, or as we used to call it, Gictane. He's a father of 3 great kids, 2 girls and 1 little boy. And if you can name the sport, he's played it. Let's bring in my man, Mr. Keith Merrill in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Mr. Merrill. Bring it in. All right, there he is. Mr. Keith Merrill in the house. What's going on, boss? How you doing out there in Clarita?
What's shaking?
You know how we do. So, I mentioned in the open that if we can name a sport, you've played it. But what I want to hear is, what's the sport that you have dominated? What's the sport you've gotten championships in, trophies, all that action?
Soccer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Soccer.
We noted because we need more soccer panelists up in there.
Yeah, so we won a soccer state title for the U12 AYSO in Massachusetts. So I don't know if you can call that.
Hey man, championships are championships. I got my trophy. It's off screen right here, but I got baseball trophies from back in the day. Oh, there it is. The tennis trophy.
Tennis trophy, baby.
A little foreshadowing.
But that's because I broke a leg and I got the comeback player of the year. So.
Oh, boom. All right.
I didn't win a championship.
All right. Guts and glory, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bring in our next guest who hails from the hard scrabble back alleys of Pico Rivera, the town that CNN called the Mexican Monterey. Oh, no, the Mexican Mayberry. Not the Mexican Monterey, the Mexican Mayberry. He is a well-rounded athlete. His first at bat in Little League, he hit a home run. His first time picking up a bowling ball, he bowled a strike. And the first time he rode a motorcycle, he ran it into a chain link fence. He has been in the music industry so long, he got busted for selling bootleg Louis Armstrong wax in front of El Cholo by Thomas Edison himself, slaying all comers on Instagram Live versus battles as DJ Sweater Vest. Please give it up for my man, Mr. Rick Banales in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Rick. Here he is. Bring him in. There he is. Mr. Banales. Yeah. DJ Sweater Vest in the house, ladies and germs. What's good, Rick?
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Glory. He's getting all his glory, ladies
please,
and gentlemen.
I'm not worthy. Thank you. Well, maybe I am. Please, everybody, sit down. We don't have much time. Thank you. Thank you.
So now, Rick, I didn't mention to the crew. I mean, you mentioned, or I mentioned in the open, that you've been working in the music business. We know each other from one of my favorite jobs ever at Virgin Entertainment, which is the home office for all the former Virgin Megastores. Talk about what it was like to work at Virgin Megastore, at the home office for Virgin Megastore, Rick.
That was incredible, man, because, well, there were two factors. You had a lot of really good people in that building that knew the industry and were really good people to work with. But also, it was at the record plant recording studio. I mean, not record plant, it was the SAG building. Right. So you had SAG and after there, you get on. I remember getting on the elevator once, and the guy that played the president in The Fifth Element was on there.
Okay.
The guy that played the president in basically everything. He was a guy in Babe, the farmer in Babe.
James Cromwell.
So I got on. I just said, "Mr. President, Mr. President."
So one thing that I really loved about working at the home office for the Virgin Megastore is we had this little thing called the promo blowouts. I'm sure you remember those. Yes. Promo blowouts.
That was amazing, man.
This was great. We did this.
Throw stuff out there, and everybody would get a chance to take a look at stuff and listen to stuff that they didn't know about before, which was great. We're exposing a lot of the people in the office to new music, and we'd have those Lunchbox Hero things too, where we had musicians come in. The SAG building, aside from being a place where those actors would come in, it also was a place where there were a lot of cosmetic dentists and plastic surgeons for obvious reasons. And we had the guitarist from the MC5s. Man, I'm bad with names today, but it was the loudest Lunchbox Heroes we'd ever had. I'd gone to lunch with some people, and we heard it when we were coming up the elevator. And all the dentists were saying, you can't do that because it may shake it. It's gonna make some people look bad on the Hollywood Squares and stuff. But it was really good. It was a great time, man.
I loved working there. I loved the promo blowouts, and because we not only got exposed to music, it was like books, all the products that we sold in the stores, and that we could put out. We got to go with our mail bins and just pick and choose stuff. It was awesome. Loved working there. Big ups to all my former Virgin Megastore friends watching the show. Yes. Let's bring in our next guest. He's bringing a little international flavor, making his third appearance on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. We know him as the African Englishman. Let's bring him in here, my man, Mr. Olu Alemoru in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Mr. Alemoru. There he is, the African Englishman, ladies and gentlemen, bringing it in. How's it going out there in Manchester, Olu?
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's a bit rainy, but never mind.
Now, we're having, as you might call it back in the UK, a very daft time in the US right now with the coronavirus. What's going on out there with COVID-19? I want to get it right. COVID-19. No, 19.
Well, we're coming out of lockdown, but as this weekend illustrated, it's going to be a tough ask. The weather was searing, and in the coastal towns, it was absolutely an amazing scene where so many people were at the beaches, and it's as if this pandemic had never happened. So good old Bozo Boris is now basically trying to get people to calm down a lot. I mean, I know the weather sucks here, but we've all seen sun, so you don't have to get a bit crazy. So we'll just have to see how it goes. The numbers in London have gone down rapidly, kind of like a New York situation, but there's some fears that other parts of the country may see this uptick.
And they also, they're trying to keep us Americans out of the EU. That's how bad we're doing over here. The other kind of funny thing, like they both had similar early responses to the COVID-19 outbreak, Boris and our guy Trump.
Yeah.
And they both have similarly bad hair. That's like, I thought that was so interesting that they both kind of reacted the same way, and then they both got their weird kind of comb overs. But hey, that's just me. Let's bring in our final panelist, also making his third appearance on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Now, this guy, he's got something crazy to say. I'm not even going to guess at it. Hailing from the city of brotherly love, we talked about it last time he was on. He does a dog event at his house every weekend where he brings out dogs and they get to go and play date. And he has one for big dogs. He has one for small dogs. This guy is all around crazy. Let's bring him in here. Mr. Background himself, my man, David Goodman in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Bring him in here.
Let's see you.
Oh, wow, man. I mean, this character, ladies and gentlemen, I just don't know what to make of him. Where is he? Is he even there? Is he appearing on the show? There he is. Oh, he's at Wimbledon, ladies and gentlemen.
I was down on the court. I don't know what happened. I was. Woo! Hold on. Sorry, guys. Hold on.
Oh, man.
So tired. Well, you know how it is, guys. Woo! Tennis is my racket. Tennis is my racket.
Oh, man. I don't have green screen budget.
I don't even know how
amazing.
to follow that up, so I'm just going to get right into the topic.
I'm going all out, if you know what I mean. Using all of it.
All right,
very boldly.
Today we're going to talk about, as you might be able to tell from David's antics, we're going to talk about tennis, a sport we have yet to talk about. And we're going to talk about today, we're going to answer the question pitting two of the all-time greats in women's tennis. 3 sets for all the marbles at their absolute peak. Who wins? Serena Williams or Steffi Graf? Notice I gave it a little German flavor, Steffi Graf. So let's get right into it. And I'm going to start out with one of the newbies, all right? Let's throw it to my man, Mr. Keith Merrill, and see what he's talking about. Let me get the timer started, all right? Hold on. Just hold your horses. All right, Keith, you ready for this?
I'm ready, man.
All right, 2 minutes. Go.
So it's pretty easy. It seems like it's complicated. It's not complicated. So I've been playing tennis since I was a kid. I've been watching tennis since I was a kid. Sports is entertainment, correct? I think we can all agree on that.
Fair enough.
Put all the statistics aside and think about how much you enjoy watching a certain tennis player. To me, I think I saw every match Steffi Graf played, and I can tell you right now, those were some of the greatest naps I've ever had. So let me kind of break it down a little bit for you. She was so boring to watch. I refer to her as she's like the male Yvonne Lendl. I had the same animosity towards her that I had towards Yvonne Lendl. I couldn't stand watching either one of them. And why is that? So there's a thing that Steffi did midway through her career where she literally just started hitting these sliced backhands, and they were so slow and long. You could go to the beer, you could go to the fridge, down a beer, come back, and the thing's still in flight. She literally would sit on one side of the court, stand watching her play. And so from an entertainment standpoint, without a doubt, Serena was more entertaining. Now let's get to the athletics. Let's get to the stats. Let's get to what she accomplished. Utterly ridiculous. I patterned my game after Andre Agassi. If I had been playing when Serena was up and coming, I would have patterned my game after her. Her forehand was devastating. Her backhand was lethal. It was like a laser.
20 seconds.
Unquestionably that I've ever seen any female tennis player, but from a consistency standpoint, when it was on, she could not be beaten. Period. End of sentence. Her comeback was insane. Steffi always played from ahead. Serena figured out ways to come back from behind. For that reason alone, I could see, and again, they only played, I think, twice. And it was, I think maybe Steffi won one game more than Serena did. That was it, like 40-39. They split the matches. Peak of their powers, without a doubt, I take Serena.
All right. Interesting angle that he came from, guys. He came from an entertainment angle. Very interesting. All right. I see you, Keith. I see what you're I see a little slick in you. Let's throw it out. Let's throw it out to Manchester. I want to see what the African Englishman thinks about this whole thing, because we've talked a lot of tennis over the years. African Englishman, let's hear it. 2 minutes. Go.
Okay. I'd just like to say, in honor of your best hair, I've got my throw going. So, and the crisp white tea, because Wimbledon, it was due to start tomorrow here in the UK. So,
right.
So finally, I take Keith's points there, very, very entertaining. But in terms of these two great tennis players, for one, it is so close. They did play each other twice. They each won once.
Right.
Once in Indian Wells, that was Serena. And then in Australia, that was Steffi. They both have an absolute laser of a forehand, and their speed on the court was unmatched. So they are so close. To me, it's almost like a coin toss, but I am going to go Steffi. In terms of her,
wow.
In terms of when they were at their peak, teenagers, early 20s, Steffi was the quickest female tennis player I've ever seen. And in a close game, I mean, this would be a 3-setter. This would be literally a 6-4 in the third set. And I would just take Steffi. Her forehand is just unmatched. Serena's got all sorts of power all around the court, but when you watch some of the tape, especially when Serena was young, there were just crucial shots that she missed. In terms of her legacy, she just beat everyone else. So, but in this one-off, I would take Steffi Graf.
All right,
even with her badminton backhand?
She might bore Serena into a mistake, yeah.
All right. So, wow, we got one Steffi, one Serena so far. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to jump in here. JD Butter, it's butter time on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Let me start the clock, and here we go.
Go
all right. Bro. To Olu's point, I got to give it up. Even just looking at the stats and the accomplishments on paper, they're both so close almost in every metric in terms of career winning percentage. You know, obviously, Serena has won one more Grand Slam. You know, but I think, Steffi was a little bit more consistent across all surfaces. But the stats, it's an either or. But I think what it really is going to come down to is, you know, talking about Steffi, you know, she had great footwork, great court coverage. You know, she did have the power forehand, and she did have that slice backhand, which was kind of questionable. She was a baseliner. Again, great surface versatility. What I really loved about Steffi, though, was that she was kind of a robot on the court. Like, in terms of that mental toughness, she never got too high, never got too low. And I think that served her well in a lot of matches. But here's the thing about Serena. You know, Serena could on the mental toughness side, you know, she could lose it sometimes. She could get, like, really emotional at times. But there are other times when literally she was down big and just buttoned up her bootstraps and just came and came back. So, you know, mental toughness is a wash. Obviously, the forehand on both is super powerful. What is going to come down to me for both of them, both very athletic, Serena probably a little bit more athletic, quickness, is going to be the serve. Serena pretty much has the best serve in the history of tennis. You know, she serves faster than some of the men on the men's tour, okay? Yeah. And I think that's what's going to be the main difference if they're going head-to-head at their peak, is Serena's going to hit a bunch of aces and a bunch of service winners that's going to be the difference in that 6-4 final set. And that's my time. Dynamite! All right, so you know, we're kind of moving along here, and it's looking close. These two last cats are really gonna make the decision for us. So let's throw it to my man, Mr. Goodman, because I know, who knows what kind of antics we're about to see, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Goodman, you got 2 minutes. Go.
All right, you guys are describing both players back and forth. I'm going to stick with one player because I can argue left or right. They're both great players. So let's just physically argue for Steffi. All right?
Wow.
Here's why we're going to argue for Steffi. Hang on a second here. Let's get to my good stuff here. Let's start with – bam. All right, so here we go, guys. She started in 1982 at 13 years old. She won her first Grand Slam in 1987. It was a French. Okay, we all know they both won 23 and 22. That's not important. Here's what is important. She exceeds on all 4 surfaces. She is the only player, man or woman, to win at least 4 of all of the Grand Slams. Nobody else has done that. She was number 1 for 377 straight continuous weeks, total weeks. Nobody else. Serena was only 319. They both tied at 186 consecutive. She dominated the 80s and the mid-90s. She ended the reigns of probably the other 2 greatest players of all time, Christy Everett and Martina Navratilova. She ended their reigns. She won 13. She went to 13 consecutive Grand Slam finals from 87 to 90. She won 9 of them. She got hurt in 91, 92, came back from 93 to 96. She won 10 of 14 Grand Slams. It is said of her, no player has moved with such predatory haste. All right, you guys both talked about her forehand. Right?
Wait, I got to look that one up.
Yeah, you look it up. It's true. I just quoted it. She even had a stroke named after her, Fraulein Forehand. Okay? She was so good, not only did she have 22 Grand Slams, but she added 7 more with, where is it now? I got to find him. Because she married that guy. All right? She married 7 more. All right? That's
5 seconds.
Steffi is better.
Wow. All right. Dude, we are at an impasse right now. The pressure is going to be on Mr. Banales, ladies and gentlemen. Before we
I couldn't afford a green screen for this. So.
Before we throw to Rick, though, looking at that picture behind Mr. Goodman, I got to say, where is Jaden Gill? Why is he not playing tennis? He actually is playing baseball.
Yes. They were talked about him as a possible draft pick this year.
Yes, but you know, I would have loved to see one of their kids get on the court and see what those 2 gene pools could have created. That said, Rick, you are the tie-breaking vote, my man.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
The pressure is on. 2 minutes for Mr. Banales. Go.
All right. So there are 2 absolutes that you can say about each of these folks. Steffi is the best mover in the game. She probably has, even with her, better footwork than Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, right? And that's why she could camp out on that backhand side and just rip, and just play a game that was so advanced for its time that Nadal and Federer end up doing the same thing years later, right? Serena has the best serve and ground strokes in the women's game. The serve, as you mentioned, was comparable to a lot of men. And with this McEnroe and Serena bout, she can serve faster than McEnroe. So, it's pretty much done. Steffi has 22 Grand Slam titles.
I can
Serena
serve faster
23.
than McEnroe.
When you get to the best hair, it'll be good. But there's a bigger factor, right? In 1997, this company named Lux Salon introduced this string called the Big Banger. It's polyester strings, and you can put a huge amount of spin on the ball. That same year, this kid named Gustavo Curtin won the French Open with those strings, and being an unknown to hitting these one-handed backhands, so it would hit shoulder high, be shoulder high or higher on the other side, right? That fundamentally changed the game. In Steffi's era, the ground strokes were traded at about waist high. It's almost like table tennis before they introduced that super spin rubber. So, right, because of those differences, if they played in Steffi's era with the rackets and strings of Steffi's era, Steffi would win. If they played in Serena's era with the rackets and strings of Serena's era, Serena would win.
Whoa!
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Wow. Wow.
Boom!
That's like this.
I got it.
Wow.
Mic drop, ball drop.
I mean, first of all, Rick coming with the science, ladies and gentlemen. Like, what is this?
Tom, this is business, and this man is taking it very, very personal.
Neil deGrasse Banales, boom!
Right? Like, what the string construction and high hit. Wow. Okay.
Hey, I'll give him a little green screen for that. That gets pow.
I got to give it up a little bit on the science, but I'm going to come at you for waffling. He's on the fence. He didn't say yay or nay.
You can't. You know.
All right. We're going to start the rebuttals. Let me get the clock ready while you take in this science Rick just dropped on us, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to take the lead on these rebuttals because I'm just taken aback by Rick right now.
Go for it, bottom man.
Yeah. All right.
Bring it on.
Here's all I'm going to say about this. Steffi Graf and Serena, we both know are great, right? We've both brought a lot of interesting data to your dome on this episode, right? But here's the thing. Steffi has a lot of achievements that she might not have if not for a gentleman by the name of Gunther Bosch. Now, if you guys don't know who Gunther Bosch is, he is a German gentleman who stabbed Monica Seles, right? Okay. So while I love Steffi and everything she's accomplished, I think if we had not seen Monica Seles get stabbed and lose essentially 3 years of her career, and she was never the same after coming back, I don't think we would necessarily even be comparing Steffi and Serena. We might be comparing Serena and Monica. So that's my rebuttal. Came with it. I'm patting myself on the back for that one.
Wow, you just shivved somebody.
Yeah. All right, let's throw it to the AE to hear his rebuttal, since I just came at his girl Steffi hard. I came at her hard.
I read that. I was doing a bit of reading around this, and someone made that point about Monica Seles. I don't think, to me, in terms of these two, greats, I still think Steffi's achievements are up there. I would just, again, to me, we're playing the game. It's one set all. It comes down to the last set. It's going to be 6-4. Steffi's second serve, and I watched those two matches they both had. I give it to Steffi. Her second serve was more reliable, and her volleying was just that little bit better. Tense match, 1 or 2 points. Steffi still wins it.
All right. Wow. All right. He's convinced, ladies and gentlemen. I have to say, it's a match I would love to see. I wish we could get in it, put them both in a time machine and see them go head to head. Let's throw it back to Keith. I want to see how you really support this, this Serena thing, Keith, because I'm with you, and I think we need to dominate these cats, and I think we need to pick up all the votes of the viewers. You got 1 minute.
I think the domination is almost done. So, we're talking about a head-to-head match, or are we talking about career? JD, you crushed it. You crushed it. Celis, you got to keep in mind, Celis played, I think, in her first 14 Grand Slams.
Right.
Won 8. She won 8. Right. Then she got stabbed in the back. And then she got stabbed in the back again by the Tennis Association.
Yeah, that's
your own time. If you hear what they did to her, it's disgusting. So with that said, she's the kryptonite for Steffi Graf. So if you talk about careers, it's not close. Serena Williams is the greatest tennis player to ever play the game. She's got 39 Grand Slams, not 23. She's got 39.
Oh, bringing in the doubles. Bringing in the doubles.
That can be. But also, let's talk about this head-to-head, right? So the idea Olu brought up on the second serve, right? Second serve means you didn't hit your first serve. Serena gets her first serve in incessantly. Close, and she would have destroyed that backhand. Destroyed it.
Well, they didn't in their matchup. In their matchup, she didn't destroy her. What I'm saying, it was so close. Both games were so close.
Now,
fair enough. Horseshoes, grenades.
To that point, though, Ola, you got to remember, it was in 99.
Mm-hmm.
Steffi was at the end, but she was still young. She was only 30 when she retired. Yeah. Serena was at the very top of her career. She won her first Grand Slam that year. So I think Serena her peak wasn't when she was 19. Her peak was probably when she was about 25, 26.
Yeah.
Almost through like 32 or so. She just kept getting better. But let's see what Dave has to say to bring this to fruition. Dave, let me.
One Dave.
Yeah, let me. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen! Before he says a word, he's got video. The dude oh my God, dude! I might have to leave.
I did not know we were auditioning for ESPN.
Yeah. Wow. Leave it to Mr. Goodman. That's all I can say. Leave it to Mr. Goodman. ... David, you got 1 minute. Go.
Okay, let's start with who cares about what if? Doesn't matter who got hurt. Doesn't matter who stabbed who. It's about the World War. This is not the Avengers, and we got no stones, okay? This is how it is and how it exists. Let's talk about who they played against. All right, Steffi, Chris Everett, Martina Navratilova, Martina Hingis, Gabby Sabatini, Lindsay Davenport, Monica Seles. Who are the 5 top people that Serena played? Let's see. Venus, who's great. Jelena Jankovic, Svetlana Kuznetsova, Victoria Azarenka, Karolina Wozniacki, Sharapova. Who are these people? All right. And lastly, who is the only player ever to win the Golden Slam? That is the true Grand Slam and an Olympic medal in the same year. My friends, that's an 8.
Oh! I don't know what's more impressive, the arguments or the tech. All right, David Goodman, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for him.
That
All
was
right, Rick, it's back to you, man. We're counting on you.
Rick, come to the dark side.
I got to say, who cares who stabbed who? That came up in one of my court dates. It didn't work. Right? So the thing is, this is a really good stat to show here what we've been talking about. At the age of 20, Steffi had 5 Grand Slam titles. Serena had 2. Monica Seles had 8. Right? So, and she was getting stronger, and she was getting more in control of what she was able to do. I think that it is one of those what ifs, right? And, I think there are a couple of other things to say that with Steffi and Serena, both of them are amazing athletes, probably two of the best that have ever played the sport of tennis.
10 seconds.
And you have really young people that right now that can probably do the same thing, you know.
5
So
seconds.
you know, it's a really good argument either way.
So he's going to stay on the fence.
Holy Switzerland,
Rick has
Batman.
got a fence directly in the crease of his arse, as they say in the UK. And I brought that out just for you, Olu. All right, so
I can talk about the Swiss
literally
Davis
have
Cup
an
team
impasse.
too if you want.
We literally have an impasse, which means it's all on you, viewers. This is all on you. We got 2 for Steffi, we got 2 for Serena, and we got Rick, who's like depends on the era. So, viewers, we need you more than ever on this episode to chime in and let us know 2 things. 1, who you think would have won, and 2, who among these characters on this show today you think made the best argument. So we want to hear from you. And of course, if you've watched the earlier episodes, you know, with each of your votes, with each of your comments, we're all picking up points. And at the end of the season, 1 winner is going to punish 3 losers. So it's going to be fun. I want to thank my esteemed panel. This was a fun episode to do, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it up for our panel. Keith Merrill in the house. Give it up for Keith. My man, Mr. Rick Banales, or as we're going to start calling him, Neil deGrasse Banales. The African Englishman, Olu Alemoru, and of course, the tech wizard, the king of it all media, Mr. David Goodman. Of course, he went balls out on this episode, that's for sure. I am, of course, Mr. JD Butter. Tune in next week for another fun episode of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Until then, peace.